Oh, welcome back. Jeremy Varner is looking for a cure.
Not for one, but for 4 separate illnesses. After a tough year, this student is taking his message to the streets. Emma Smith has the story.
For Jeremy Varner, life hasn't always been easy. Even before he was born, doctors said he might not live or walk or speak. Jeremy was born with congenital heart disease, which means he literally has holes in his heart. There is no cure for the disease, but this isn't stopping Jeremy from doing all he can to raise money and awareness, not for himself, but for his family.
Being born with congenital heart disease, I knew how hard it was to live with a diagnosis, and then to have 4 new family members diagnosed with an illness of their own just kind of threw me away. So I decided that this is something that needed to happen.
Last year, Jeremy's family had some devastating news. Jeremy's sister, grandfather, grandmother, and mother were all diagnosed with 4 life-changing diseases. All of this happened within 4 months.
And my mother, when I found out she was diagnosed with Parkinson's, as I said, it was on the way home for Christmas break. I think that one hit me the hardest. As I'm sure people know, the Parkinson's can be a fatal disease. And that's basically all that was running through my mind at first, thinking that she was going to end up like Mr. Fox. But at the end of the day, we're a tight-knit family, and we know that we just can't sit back and let these affect us, and we're going to keep living our lives, whether we like it or not. And
Last Thursday was the first presentation of FAD, an organization created by Jeremy in response to the diagnoses in his family. FAD stands for Parkinson's, heart defects, Alzheimer's, and diabetes. He hopes the organization will educate people about these diseases and open their eyes to what they can do to help. The presentation in Ted Daigle Auditorium was the first of many Jeremy hopes. He plans on taking FAD to high schools and other places around the city. There was a raffle after the presentation to raise money. It has been a tough year for Jeremy and his family, but he says he couldn't just sit back and do nothing.
The illnesses know no age and no demographic, so if I can get to as many people as I possibly can, I think that'll be one of the ultimate goals as well.
For Stu Journalism, I'm Emma Smith.
Crystal, in case you weren't aware, the Winter Olympics are being held in Canada this month.
Well, it certainly hasn't been a secret. They've been preparing for the Games for the past 7 years. Matt Chirico has more.
Well, there certainly hasn't been any shortage of anticipation for these Winter Olympics that are set to get underway in Vancouver tomorrow. Promotions for the Olympic coverage and Olympic sponsorship have been really hard to miss. And for these hosts, it's really about being bigger and better than the last Olympics, making it as big a showcase as possible. And really, this is not a new concept. If you look back to the 1932 Games in Los Angeles, they brought this concept of commercialization of the Games. That set a precedent for Games to follow. And they used the Games to pump as much money into the economy as possible. And they really wanted to extend the appeal of sports. And they also wanted to extend the appeal of the Olympics past the sports. Get people together and really get behind their nation. And they really just wanted to make it as big a spectacle as possible. And that's what we're seeing with these Games is in the run-up to it. And also, these 2010 organizers really haven't fallen short of that concept one bit in the lead-up to the Games. With all the hype that we've seen over the past few years, most Canadians are probably expecting these Olympics to be something special for Canada. For Stu Journalism, I'm Matt Chirico.
The most recent addition to the St. Mary's hockey team is facing a whole new set of challenges. After being released from prison last September, Mike Denton is adjusting to life on the outside. Mike Sanderson has the story.
6 years ago, Mike Danton was living the Canadian dream. He was playing hockey for the St. Louis Blues. 2 days after the Blues were eliminated from the 2004 NHL playoffs, Danton was arrested by California police for conspiracy to commit murder. Danton pled guilty and served a 5.5-year prison term, split between Missouri and Ontario jails. Now, Danton is a free man. He is enrolled at St. Mary's University in Halifax. An overlooked issue here is one of the journey of ex-offenders to get back into society. There are more than 13 million people in the United States alone who have convicted a felony. Most universities don't screen for a criminal record unless you apply for a program that deals with vulnerable people, like medical work. Josephine Savarese is a professor of criminology at St. Thomas. She believes that Danton will have an encouraging environment at St. Mary's University.
People want him to succeed. So he's being welcomed to a community that's supportive. That's a strength for Mike Danton that most offenders don't have. While he is high profile and he'll be watched, he's being watched by a community that is largely on side. Like a number of offenders, he also has deficits that will come into play, and he'll be scrutinized to the extent that those deficits are still operating in his life.
Organizations like the John Howard Society of Canada were created to help ex-offenders get their lives back on track. The John Howard Society was created in 1867 to help prisoners in the Toronto jails. It's a public organization run by volunteers from the community. Savarese is one of those volunteers, and she believes that Danton has served his time.
I was invited to be part of the board of the John Howard Society, and I accepted because of their emphasis on offender reintegration. Mike Danton has argued that he deserves a second chance. Our organization would support him in that claim.
Savarese later explains that hockey and other social groups can help Danton and other ex-offenders to grow and adapt in the long run. Interactions with other students and social situations allow former convicts to continue their progress. How would students react to an ex-offender in the classroom?
Well, as long as they're doing something with their lives, like better than them just robbing banks.
Not that bad. I mean, he's an ex-offender, but he did his time and he's out of jail now, so I don't really find it that offensive.
First, it'd be a little bit sketchy, but I mean, they paid their debt to society, they're done their time, so it wouldn't be too big of a deal after a while. I'd probably actually try to talk to them, you know, make friends with them.
Well, I'd probably get an autograph. Like, they're pretty famous, you know? Like, Danton, like, he played in the NHL. Like, that's pretty cool.
Danton can be the face for many Canadians who are struggling with their criminal pasts. While on the ice, his start has been unimpressive, off the ice he's made great strides into getting back into society. For Stu Basement Tapes, I'm Mike Sanderson.
Well, that's all for this week. Thanks for watching.
I'm Nathan Swain, she's Crystal Klein. We're gonna do some rock climbing. You could spot me.
See ya!